One word, rump. Some people think about Kim Kardashian, but we're talking about beef. And it's one of those cuts that is one of the most underutilized pieces of beef I know of. Yep. So I'm here with Billy, who's going to show us how to break it down and get absolute gold out of this piece of meat.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ralph, for the introduction and the Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
Never thought of it like that. What we have in front of us here, guys, is a whole rump. This is a grass-fed rump. About 4 to 5 kilos on average they come in at. Grass-fed, potentially, or in my opinion, actually has better flavour. That's why I'm a big fan. What we're going to do today is we're going to break this down and show you guys, one, the value for money you can get out of a whole rump. It's about $10 a kilo cheaper to buy it like this, and you can get more than just your steaks out of it. We can get a roast, we can get lots of bits and pieces. So I'm going to break this down, and we'll go through it all bit by bit and show you how easy it actually is.
So it's quite a versatile piece. I mean, if you want steaks, you can break it down that way. But if you do want to turn it into a roast, and obviously the famous picanha, which we'll talk about soon,
yes,
then it's all hidden away in this magical piece of meat.
Absolutely. So traditionally, yes, we do slice. So we'll make some rough marks. We slice from the thickest all the way down to the thinnest, and basically some little lines here. That's as simple.
So it's that easy. That honestly, like cutting a loaf of bread, and then the slices come off and you throw them on the pan.
Correct. Obviously, there's a little bit to it. A sharp knife is essential. Something decent quality, because one, you're going to massacre the meat, and you're potentially going to massacre your fingers if you try with something blunt. So yeah, if you are doing it at home, make sure you've got a good sharp knife. The sharper it is, the safer it is, as believe it or not. The blunter it is, the more dangerous it will be, and the more accidents can happen.
Right. So that's a really easy way to cut the rump down. But we're going to try, obviously, separating the sub-muscles within there and make some pretty special pieces, right?
Yes, we are. We are going to break it down to probably about 3 different main muscles of the rump. Alright, so what we're going to look at here, firstly we're going to remove the picanha, as Ralph mentioned first, one of the most popular cuts, which is this cap that runs along the top of the rump. Before we do that, we'll just do a little bit of a tidy up. As you can see, there's some connective bone tissue there, some silver skin, little bits and pieces. There's a little seam underneath here, and you can hear that noise there. All I'm going to do is remove this.
So the big trick here is, you talked earlier about following the seam, so that's probably the biggest tip I could ever give you guys coming direct from a butcher is, you know, the natural seams of these muscles, just follow them down with your knife, and that'll start to separate everything you need.
Absolutely, just follow the seam and you'll be fine. You'll probably learn something along the way too. So yeah, once again, it never changes. It's always the same on a rump, so you'll never get caught out or confused if you start doing this regularly. It'll be the same rump, exactly the same rump as it was the time before. All right, so I've just tidied that up. Just going to take that little bit of fat out, and I'm going to remove, there's a little bit of another bit of sinew there to get rid of around the back. So you can see there is a little bit of waste that comes off a rump that can be utilised. Yeah, you can mince some of the leaner bits if you've got a little mincer at home. The fat, if you really want, you can render it down and make dripping. I know a lot of people that do that. The best thing to cook with, I think. So all right, what we're looking for here, once again, here's our rump, the picanha, and you can hear that. All I'm doing, I haven't even picked my knife up yet, I'm finding that seam. So you can see it.
Yeah, it's just absolutely follow your nose and you're there.
Absolutely. Let gravity do its job, that's what I say. So we're going to take this off right there.
So that is the magic muscle, that is the picanha?
Yeah, yes it is, that is the picanha.
And known as the rump cap, so even if you just go up to the butcher and say, I want a rump cap, this is the absolute beautiful little muscle.
Yeah, while I trim it up, I mean, you want to talk a little bit more about the best way to do a rump cap?
Yeah, well, obviously it's a fairly new thing for a lot of Australians, but in South America and more specifically Brazil, where this piece of meat is held in absolute high regard. What they do is they actually section it off, which we'll show you in a minute, and they put it on their rotisserie spits, and it comes up like a magical piece of beef. So we'll show you that in a minute as Billy works his way down through the rump.
Yeah, so basically I've just tidied that up a little bit, got the silver skin off, majority of it off the bottom. I don't want to hack too much into it because I'll start cutting into some good meat there. Just removing that silver skin just stops it from curling when it gets a bit of heat, especially if you're cooking over a flame. It can sort of warp it and mispresent it, I guess is the probably best way to describe it. But yeah, keeping it nice and clean, but once again, not removing too much fat. You really got to have the fat. Fat's flavour, especially cooking on charcoal or anything, you really want that. That renders, drips on that, creates that nice flame, which creates that great crust and flavour.
And that piece of meat alone, I've cooked this before for 4 adults. It's going to feed them or a whole family. I mean, it's a decadent piece of meat, and for a special occasion. And
Absolutely.
you're going to love that.
Definitely. So that's the picanha. What we'll do, we'll move that one to the side and we'll get back into what's left of this rump. So basically what we've got here now, there's a little undercap here which I'm going to remove. This piece here can actually be utilised once again for trim, or if a little bit of tidy up, you can take that silver off and you can actually strip this piece for a little bit of stir fry as well.
It looks pretty tasty.
Yeah, it is. It's just a little working under muscle sits underneath that main centre cut piece of the rump. So what I'm going to do is just try and fillet it like almost like a fish.
Wow.
Take that off.
It's pretty skillful to get that sinew off.
Yeah, I read a book last night.
I think I'll leave that to the pros.
I'm just going to make this a little bit thinner, just so I can strip it up for some
Right.
nice stir fry strips.
And rump stir fry is absolutely sensational. We cook a lot of Asian food, and this is the perfect cut for
Absolutely.
a lot of that. It takes on marinade really well, so yeah, you've got to love it.
So you'll see I'll accrue that as we tidy this up. We'll actually build that into a full meal of 4 for a stir fry. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you what we've got. This little piece here, you can see there's a centre cut of sinew there. This bit here is what they call the rump eye. This piece is probably a little bit understated when it comes to cooking. It can eat as good as a rib fillet. Off a good quality body, this piece here is beautiful. So I'm going to take that off first. To do that, I'm going to find that centre piece of sinew. Once again, I'm going to try and follow that seam and get as hard along that as I possibly can. So I'm just opening it up there, and you can see that silver skin there. That's that centerpiece I'm looking for ideally.
And that's the magic, isn't it? As far as using that eye fillet, it really does eat so well compared to, top grade steaks around. But yeah, it's so much cheaper.
It is so much cheaper, and yeah, I mean your eye fillets are up around the $60-70 a kilo now. So you can still purchase a whole rump for under $20 a kilo. And like I said, if you learn to appreciate all these little bits, you'll get as many meals and as good a quality, eating quality as you will out of buying a kilo of eye fillet.
So taking on the whole rump, buying it, you can either take it home and obviously break it down the way that you're doing it now, or if you're a lazy man or woman, you could just basically ask your butcher, right? And you guys cut it down and vacuum pack it into little subsections?
Yes, we do, 100%. We do this every day of the week. This is what we're qualified to do. So yeah, if you don't want to do it or you want to learn, when you come in store, you can pop around our side of the counter and we'll sort of show you how to do it. But yeah, we'll break all this down for you, do all this in store at no extra charge, and we can cryovac it so you don't have to freeze anything. And every single piece cryovac to be good for probably up to 6 or 7 weeks in the fridge.
Wow.
Cool. So what I've got, that's that little eye piece I was just referring to. I'm just going to square that up. Once again, these little first cuts I'm getting won't be wasted, but I'm going to just take off these little pieces, and as you can see,
wow, they look amazing.
nice little medallions which come up great. You can also dice this, skewer it, put it for kebabs if you want, but I find, you see how tender this is?
So that's super supple, super lean.
Yep.
Come up medium rare, that's going to be a real treat.
Absolutely, it will be. So that's where little bits and pieces like this that probably most people, unless they sort of take the time or talk to their butcher about, they wouldn't realise that there's such a nice little muscle of meat sort of buried in that rump. I'm just stripping up all these pieces again. We're creating another meal over there in the corner.
And again, those steaks are enough to feed a whole family, or if you're having a dinner party and having a couple of guests over, then that's going to do the job as well.
Yeah, so we've already got 2 meals there, and now we're going to get to the centre cut piece of rump here, which doesn't look that glamorous at the moment, but we'll tidy it up a little bit, just around the sides. Once again, stripping every bit we can.
So the knife you're using, Billy, it's got a nice curve to it. Is that a standard butcher's knife?
Yeah, this is probably a traditional steak knife. So yeah, a little bit of a curve. They do vary in size. You can go a smaller one here. I use this one for sort of dicing, a little bit stripping as well. The bigger the blade, the easier it is to cut for everyone at home. So if you do go to buy a knife, I'd be more inclined to buy something larger, for the pure reason that the bigger the blade, the easier it is to cut through. The more weight it's got, the better you'll balance your knife with your hand. And once again, it's just practice makes perfect.
Well, funny you say that. I did bring my knives to see if they'd be the right kind of knives to cut through this.
Yep.
And he did say big. I've got big.
All
Hang on
right.
a minute. Is this what you're talking about?
Yours is definitely bigger than mine.
Well, you know, the guys at Victorinox said, hey, why don't you just start cutting with this and see how you go? And I'd never used this before. Apparently, it's a scimitar knife.
Yep.
I think the history was it came out of Persia in the Middle East, and I don't know whether they use these in battle, but
I think Johnny Depp, Captain Blackbeard.
yeah, maybe. But at home, it cuts beautifully on the big slices.
And that's probably exactly what I was referring to. That with nice weight, nicely balanced, and that nice curve gives you that creative, like you can actually roll that knife through. So the whole idea is you never want to saw into meat because you'll create steps.
Yeah.
Poor presentation. So you want to cut with purpose in and roll that knife around. So yeah, that is a great knife. Really good. I've got an apprentice who might need one of them.
Cheers, mate. He's not having it.
No, that's
All right.
All right, so I've done a little tidy up on this piece. Once again, I've purposely left that fat coverage on top because we can do two things with this centre cut rump. We could tie this up, truss it up to turn it into a nice little roast, having that extra fat, more flavour.
Beautiful.
It won't dry out for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into nice little portion cut steaks, great for the barbie. So leaving that bit of fat on, once again, it eats better, tastes better, gives it more flavour.
I think it is so tempting to start chopping and cutting and slicing that fat off straight in the bin. But certainly from experience, whether it be outside on the barbecue or even roasting inside, it is, like you say, it's that fat rendering out and protecting the meat, but also covering it and giving it flavour. So yeah, I'd be leaving that all on.
Definitely. So I'm just going to give these a little tidy up.
So now they're starting to resemble those rump steaks that I see in restaurants that you pick through the counter. And you know, I'm a great fan for the rump steak. Even sometimes I'll select that over a ribeye or an eye fillet because they eat so clean, and you've got that beautiful fat cap running along the side that you can choose to either polish off altogether or, you know, eat how much you want.
Absolutely. So as you can see, we've just got 4 incredibly generous steaks there out of just that one piece. So what do we got? 1, 2, 3. By the time I tidy this up, we've got a 4th meal of stir fry strips over there as well. And just remember, everyone at home, the whole rump of a decent quality of this will probably cost you about $80. So if you can envision feeding a family of 4 a red protein every night for 4 meals, $20 a night, it's pretty good value for money.
It's really good value. And you've got the star of the show too, that picanha cut. No matter how you cook it, it is always going to come out absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. So I'll just give this another tidy up. But I suppose you got some ideas on what you'd be doing with this, Ralph?
Well, I'd be definitely taking that and putting that on the rotisserie spit. I'd be flame grilling obviously the eye fillet. Same with the steaks. I'd be marinating just purely for flavour, not to try and even extend the tenderness of the stir fry meat. Just for a lot of that beautiful Asian stir fry. So that's what I'd be doing.
Yeah, definitely. So as you can see, I mean, there is some little bits of pieces that you will have to waste, unfortunately, but I think this is the best way to appreciate a rump for everything that it can offer.
But not if you've got a cat and a dog, right? This is
right.
gold for them.
Absolutely. Or a, what do they call them? A student living under the house. They'll be chewing. It'll be a meal that'll go a long way, no doubt. They'll be chewing for a while.
But that is awesome. To see it in the flesh, it's actually a lot easier than you think. I'm definitely going to be buying a whole rump from here on in because of the cost saving and just the flexibility of what you can do with the meat. Brilliant. Thanks very much for showing us how it's done.
No worries. Thank you, Ralph.
Cheers.